What's up guys, welcome to Wasted Space, and today we are taking a look at Warfare: The Overworld by Subterranean Games. Now this is going to be a slightly different video to some of the ones I've done previously, because as you can see right here, the game is very early and unfinished state, and I can give some advance warning that basically what this means is this currently is pretty much a tech demo. There is some gameplay elements that have been added, but as you can see, some of the major features are still yet to be developed. So, Warfare: The Overworld, and what is it? Well, as you may guess from the background here, Warfare: The Overworld is a spiritual successor to Bullfrog's Dungeon Keeper, released in 1997. It went through a Kickstarter process, raised £210,000 to get its development under the go, and this is what they've come up with so far, trying to follow through and pick the best from a whole variety of genres and a whole variety of games, but predominantly Dungeon Keeper, Evil Genius, Overlord, that sort of series where you are essentially playing the bad guy. So you can see the game in its current state looks quite pretty. I've got everything running on absolute maximum settings to try and see what the game has to offer, and I am a little bit experienced with Dungeon Keeper in the past, in fact, so I'm just going to kick straight in there. One of the first things you'll notice when looking at this, obviously, is down here where it says minimap coming soon, and this is something you can get to expect throughout sort of any experience with this game thus far, is that there will be frustrations purely caused by the fact that there are features that aren't implemented yet. Minimap being one of them, but I think probably the most important one for me, there's no way of tracking where your little dudes are. So I have these little imps here, and they are busy digging out where I tell them to, and then claiming this terrain as my own. And I have opened up into this room here, and collected myself a portal, and this is where minions will enter my dungeon, this domain that I am building underground. And the idea basically is you are lord of some kind of underworld where you're trying to build and train an evil army of creatures in order to slowly corrupt the land above and the heroes that protect it. So the whole game is focused quite a lot on a dark side of things. It's one of the few games I've played where you get to play the bad guy, and I quite like that. So all I'm doing here really is just digging out myself a bunch of rooms so that I can have a play around. So while my imps are going about their work, let's just have a quick look through the UI and what we have available. So at the moment it looks like I can't build any buildings. In fact, at the moment it looks like all I can do is these two spells. So I know from past experience there's a little button hidden down here on the UI, which is kind of hard to get at. There we go. And this is our tech tree, and this is where we can pick what buildings we want to open up and what buildings we want to research. Now, obviously, you need to start by opening the very basics: lair and a place for your monsters to get food. And then from there, you can pick your way up a tree, or in this case, because as I said, tech demo, I seem to have a huge amount of resources, pick my way up all the trees. And these different buildings, different rooms, will provide different minions into my dungeon and provide different functionality. So, again, the imps are still off and on the go, so while they do that, let's just, to be honest, research everything, why not? I know that we have sufficient resources to buy absolutely everything, and then we can go and have a play and see what they all do. So that's fine, and I still seem to have 9 of whatever these things are. Does it say what they are? I seem to remember them being called Veins of Evil, but I might be wrong there. Either way, they are your talent points, so straight up, let's have ourselves a nice big lair. That doesn't actually look big enough for my liking. Let's have an even bigger lair. I wonder, I don't have very many of these imps. Do I have a spell to... Yep. Ah, yeah, it was that one. Sun Worker, there we go, so I can pop some more imps into existence. That's quite a cool little graphic there. Anyway, it seems that this is my mana bar, and as you can see when I'm playing these, sandbox again, tech demo. You don't use resources, you don't really seem to gain resources. I know in one of the maps you can mine out gold and there's a finite supply of that, but in most of the maps that are in the game at the moment, this is how it works. Another slight frustration with the UI, you're constantly missing buttons. You notice I've got the dig tool out here even though I'm over the top of the menu, and when I'm clicking on these buttons it's digging a square out at the same time. Hopefully they fix that. Certainly they've come a long way. I picked up this game initially about three and a half months ago, when they were first released the Bedrock beta, which is what I'm playing now, and is basically supposed to demonstrate the core of the game as it stands right now. You know, as I said, is a tech demo type thing. This is what the game is capable of doing. We are just not at the point yet where it's all implemented and balanced. So, for example, I think all of these rooms, I'm not sure whether these are going to be the final costs. For a long while there was no cost at all on the rooms, but they've implemented that. So there's some balance there, but then without any gold mechanic in order to make that mean anything, unfortunately. So this is my lair just here, and in theory, because I've got this portal taken and I'm providing them with food and a place to be, they will now be coming in through this portal and slowly filling out my dungeon. So let me just quickly dive on and build a whole bunch of rooms so we can get some different monsters in here. Some beast den I've got. It looks like there's probably another portal through there. So what Subterranean Games are trying to do with this is recreate the vibe of Dungeon Keeper without necessarily making the same game over. Obviously they don't own the rights to Dungeon Keeper. EA still own those from when they bought Bullfrog. Yeah, you can hear now there's guys coming in. And so they're trying to, as I said, spiritual successor. It's going to take what's good about Dungeon Keeper, and anybody looking at this that played Dungeon Keeper can see the immediate similarities. It feels like Dungeon Keeper. It doesn't feel like it's got quite the humour and the polish of Dungeon Keeper yet, but of course you're playing something that's very, very early in development, and it's essentially a sandbox. Just by adding in, I'm sure you've heard the wonderful voice of Richard Ridings there. He was in the original Dungeon Keeper series, and they've managed to get hold of him to come through and do this one as well, and I think that is absolutely awesome. It needed it, because that guy made the first game and the humour work. Stop digging out stuff when I'm trying to build buildings. And I've built 2 archives because I'm an idiot. You can sell buildings using the button there, and we can repurpose this to something else, because with no economy, that didn't cost me a thing. Again, you can see no resources used, nothing has changed. So we've got a workshop, we've got an archive, what's this? Barracks, crypt, prison. So have half of this room prison, and half torture chamber. Obvious combination. Lovely.
Has entered your dungeon. A succubus has entered your dungeon.
So, I'm not going to go through all the rooms, because essentially this is what you're going to get. You're going to be able to build these, go down, look at how sexy they are, but not really do a huge amount more. The map I've loaded up is, I believe, a pure sandbox map anyway. But I think there's only 1 or 2 maps that actually have enemies to fight, and the whole combat system at the moment is very, very clunky, simply because they haven't implemented the UI options to control it properly. You know, you can't select creatures particularly easily, you can't see what they're doing or where they are without the minimap. Yeah, look, so this is just an empty sandbox map, there's nothing out here. Again, this spell should be costing me mana, but because it's not, go and investigate. So the other things you can do, and one of the things that always made this game quite cool, see if we can find it, there it is, was possession. Now again, this is not properly implemented yet, but basically it was one of the few games where you could go down and first person control your dudes and run around and have a look, but literally you could control them. At the moment, as you can see, there's no UI. I can't really do anything at all down here except go and have a look at this crazy looking fella beating his brains against an anvil. Why is there gold down there? I think this would be my workshop. As you can see, these are where they build traps for my dungeon and so on. And eventually, once they've got this all implemented, this was one of the most fun elements of the game, the fact that you could go down to that level and solo control your minions. You could go and do a solo base assault, or even better, you could tell all of your minions to rally on you, and you could charge forward as that leader. And I'm absolutely positive that this is going to be a core mechanic of War for the Overworld as well. Some of the, specifically the barracks room, reminds me of the guard room from back in Dungeon Keeper, which was exactly how you grouped your creatures together. Might be wrong though, actually. That looks like a training room. That doesn't work.
A succubus has entered your dungeon.
The other thing you can probably notice is the performance here is starting to dip quite a bit. Now, obviously I am running it on absolute maximum settings, but
Bafu has entered your
I've got
dungeon.
quite a strong PC, and I'm down to sort of 25 FPS at this distance now. Something I hope they fix, because this is all running on the Unity engine, and it's amazing how versatile and good the Unity engine can look. You hear the number of games that it's actually on. Slap some pigs.
A Skarg has entered your dungeon.
So yeah, that seems to be about all I can really show you at the moment, is the basics of this tech demo. It looks nice, it feels a bit like Dungeon Keeper. Obviously it's missing all the gameplay elements that made Dungeon Keeper good, and I hope they go down that line and pull them together and make this game as good as that was, if not even better. I know in the future, very shortly, as you can see from the game menu at the start, they've got multiplayer is being implemented properly. Right now it's implemented to the point where you can test it out, but it's really buggy, to the point where I didn't bother trying to kick that up and showcase that in this video, simply because it was too difficult to get a game that far in that was functional. On top of that, each week they are bringing out something called War for the Overworld Wednesday, in which they talk about either upcoming changes, or more frequently they actually introduce something to the game each week. So I believe the next thing that will be coming in the near future is the minimap and the monster UI, the way of telling where all of these fellas are and being able to control them. So looking forward to that. I'm going to keep bringing updates to my videos for War for the Overworld to see if I can keep you guys informed, just generally make sure that you know how the game's progressing. Right now, I wouldn't say it's worth investing in, simply because you are investing in, well, a tech demo, a sandbox. It's not got any gameplay functionality to it. If you, like me, are a massive Dungeon Keeper fan, want this to be successful, then yeah, definitely go and invest. It was why I put money into this at the point I did. But if you're just looking out there for a game experience, maybe not played a genre like this before, want to try it out, this is not the time to be going and having a look. Overall, I hope they managed to capture that DK vibe, Dungeon Keeper vibe, because it's going to be very hard to decide exactly what it was that made those games good. And when you go and have a look around on the various forums and sort of listen to what people are saying about this game and about where they feel it's going, a lot of people are disagreeing about what it was that they enjoyed in Dungeon Keeper. So that's going to be an extra challenge for Subterranean to face, but so far no one can deny that this looks and feels a lot like Bullfrog's original, and potentially has the room with modern technology to be even better if they continue along these lines. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. I'm going to bring you plenty of updates in the future on how War for the Overworld is going, but for now this is just a bit of a what the hell is this game, and should I even consider investing in it? So cheers, guys. If this has helped at all, click the like and subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it, and I will catch you next time.